I am Slick Nick, the living legend of hair loss, your personal hairline hero, and of course, the red pill pusher of hair loss. I love this comment that just came in. I made a video called, Did I Get a Hair Transplant? Why I Am Not Norwood 4 Yet. And our friend Mr. Juggernaut Ishir, maybe I mispronounced that, said, quote, you probably have de-aged at least 5 years by your weight loss. So I said, I feel that way too, thank you. Which is funny because that same day I filmed that video, I also filmed the same one doing the breakdown of how I've lost all this weight. And if you want to check out the video, it's talking about how it's intermittent fasting and how it is carb backloading. Like for example, in real time right now as I shoot this video, it's 1:37 in the afternoon. I only drank water and black coffee until noon, and then I started consuming calories, but even then it was butter fat, like ghee to be specific, and some MCT oil, which is coconut oil with more coffee. So those are the only calories I've had an hour and a half ago, and I'm probably not gonna eat for at least another hour or so from now, and I'll have some eggs. But I'm keeping my insulin from spiking until the afternoon, and even then I'm only eating pure protein. I don't eat any carbohydrates, including grains or rice, that sort of thing, oats, or even fruits or vegetables until at least 4 o'clock for meal number 2. So I'm basically having really, when it comes down to it, 2 meals. My protein meal in the early afternoon, and then I'll have my carbohydrate, veggie, fruit meal at the end of the day. And I eat a lot during that time, but it's still less than 2,000 calories. And yes, I am having some calories from fat starting at noon with my second cup of coffee, but ultimately in theory, and that's why bulletproof coffee, the concept is that it kind of triggers your body to really focus on burning fat at that point. Whereas the first several waking hours of my day, I'm burning my own fat. But if you don't spike your insulin, you can't store fat, and that's the whole concept. And even carbohydrates, I wait to the very end of the day where I've already burned off most of my energy. So yes, I go to the gym and I walk also, but that's my diet, and that's predominantly how that's worked. So with that being said, I do want to acknowledge that he says I've de-aged by at least 5 years by my weight loss. So it's something like this. A couple months ago, before I started doing this stuff, back in September is when I started, so it's only been a couple months, I did weigh 178 pounds, which is like my default weight. And now, like today when I weighed myself, it was like 159, 160. So like I'm dipping into the 150s now, but it's still like 160, 161, 162. It's somewhere around there is how much I actually weigh. But it's continuing to go down. But it's interesting to lose that amount of weight. I went from dad bod status to now I'm on my way to being fit, which is my goal. I just want to be fit. And so it's interesting how that will de-age you, how being in shape does, which as you all know, that's on my list, as some say the 10 commandments. When you look at my list of things that make you attractive, number 4, healthy and active, fit, eats right and exercises. It's on there because people do find that to be attractive overall in men when he takes care of himself and is fit and healthy and active. So it's interesting how that can de-age you. And I will say too, also this year, I adopted my official new hairstyle too. And I think that helps too, to sort of de-age in some ways, as far as just the idea of me. Because when I look at myself earlier in the year, before I started doing the shaved sides of my hair and doing the disconnected part, I feel like I looked older then too. There's just more hairs, bushier hair, and there was more fat on my body, especially in my neck and my face. So it's interesting. It's like, well, what if you're younger than me, but you trim down like I did, and you adopt a hairstyle like this? Like that in itself can help reform the idea of who you are, and in essence, people can see you as younger. So it's interesting. I agree that losing fat and building muscle and changing your hairstyle is something that I love it because it's so low maintenance, but it's not just, oh, okay, you shave your head. Well, my head is shaved, half of it, and then I have some low maintenance stuff on top. But yeah, I think that's really interesting. I don't think we really acknowledge that enough, that the idea of looking younger is not just your hair. In fact, some guys can even shave their head and look younger, again, by becoming fit. And that itself can make you look younger. Because why is that? because by default, as you get older, naturally you're going to have a lower metabolism, and you're going to start storing fat easier. So it's expected that as a man hits 30, 35, 40 and beyond, he is expected to have more fat on his body. So what happens when at age 39 you decide you're going to start reversing that and commit to that for the rest of your life, so that you will, as other men your age, continue to gain a little bit more fat each year. Instead of doing that, you're actually maintaining a fitness level. You're fit. And my goal is 17% body fat. And so that's what I'm working myself towards. I'm estimating that by the time I'm around 155 pounds, I will be closer to maybe the 20% body fat mark is where I'm thinking. So I've still got fat on my stomach that's the last place for the fat to leave. So there you go. Absolutely, maybe we should talk about this more, but losing fat and building muscle absolutely reverses the aging process, at least how you're perceived as your age. Now, closing note, I will say, am I worried about looking old? No, because it's a matter of looking good for your age. It would be a compliment for once I turn 40 when someone hears, "You're 40? No way. You don't look 40. And granted, you can look closely enough at maybe the wrinkles on my face or whatever, and maybe you can kind of see it that way. But ultimately, looking good for your age, I think that's a good thing. I probably already said this story recently, but I was at, of all places, Dollar General, the dollar store back home. And as I was checking out, somehow it came up in conversation that I knew the manager there. I said, "Yeah, I've known the manager since college." I said, "We're both turning 40 this year." She's like, "No way, you're not turning 40. I thought you were in the late 20s. And then I mentioned the manager too. She said, "And there's no way she's turning 40 either." I said, "No, we're both turning 40. Now, I will say though, about me and that manager of that store, we're both fit. I mean, we don't have much body fat on us at this point. And so again, it proves that point, that theory, that concept, that if you're managing your weight through diet and exercise, it's naturally going to help keep the idea of you young. So do I care about looking young? To a certain degree. But see, again, even if you lost all your hair, you can still look younger. See, once you start shaving all your hair off, people don't really necessarily know your age anymore. It kind of like keeps you from aging, because that's already gone, right? When your hair's already gone. So it's interesting though, if you maintain your body though, that's different. That's why I put it on the list. Hair's not on the list of things that make you attractive, but being fit and healthy and active totally does. So thanks for that comment. Any more comments belong right here.